Hello, my name is Adrianne Silva. I work here at the Graduate Student Center, which is located on campus at the Numenor building over by the old dorms is what we call them. And what we do here at the Graduate Student Center is we are a resource for you if you're interested in continuing your education after you complete your bachelor's degree. So if you're interested in the credentials, certificates, graduate programs, as in master's or even PhD, doctoral programs, that is what we want to make sure we can help you with. And one of the reasons why I'm doing this particular workshop is that the CalState system includes 23 CSUs across California, and we're one of them here, right? So CSU Bakersfield. And the CSUs have the most affordable master's, credentials, and doctoral degrees that you can find in the state. If we don't have the program for you here at CSUB, this workshop is going to help you see what program is out there that you can possibly apply to and get in. And sometimes you might even find the right program without leaving Kern County. So that's why it's really important for me to show you how amazing CalState Apply is and how it's really going to help you with your search of either finding the right program, the right school, or even just seeing if you have all the requirements to apply for that program. Because you've graduated from your bachelor's degree, anything you do now is considered a post-bac education, post-bac degree, or a graduate degree. And the same term is kind of used in FAFSA if you're interested in using financial aid to pay for your post-bac education. The basic requirements for the graduate application, which is very different than the undergraduate application, is you've got to have a bachelor's degree. You don't have to have it already completed prior to applying to the program you're interested in. You just have to have it completed by the time you start that post-bac program. The other thing you need to have is a GPA. And it doesn't have to be the best GPA, but the minimum GPA you need for CSUB, and it can be different at different CSUs or different universities, private universities, public universities, for-profit, nonprofit, right? But the usual basic minimum is a 2.5 GPA. And I'm going to kind of throw a little curveball here. And it's either the 2.5 GPA as your cumulative, like your overall GPA, or the last 60, 90 units. And that would be like your junior and senior year. So again, at the post-bac level, we understand that you might not have had the best freshman and sophomore year, but we're hoping by the time you knew what your major was and you became a junior and senior, you did really well. And that's the GPA we're looking for, just as a basic requirement for the application to get accepted into a graduate program. The other thing is you got to go ahead and start on the CalState Apply. You have to log in and create this account and get started on the first step to the application. So this is what the CalState Apply or the CalState Graduate Apply website looks like. It will say graduate. Again, this is so important. I don't want you applying as if you were applying again for your bachelor's degree. So please make sure that you're going to log into the site that says graduate, and it's going to be the same for all 23 campuses. Whichever ones you're interested in, you just need to use one application for all 23. What this means is if you were interested in applying to CSUB, CSU Northridge, San Francisco State, San Diego State University, you can apply to all 4 of those universities just with this one application. Now, the options that you're going to see at the bottom when you say, yeah, okay, I'm ready to apply, there's going to be a fall 2023, summer 2023, and spring 2024. You can just go ahead and click fall 2023 or summer 2023. And again, once you log into your CalState Apply, they'll show you all the different programs that are available for that term. So this is what it would look like when you're about to create it. If you are already a current CSUB student, and maybe you remember, maybe you don't, but this is how you started your application to get into CSUB. So it looks the same, and you possibly could use the same password that you used before, or you can create a completely new account if you forgot what it was, or you just don't want to go through the whole like reset the password, all that great stuff. So this is what it looks like if you forgot your login, kind of start it all over again. You would see this in your email to reset it. So one of the reasons why you might want to just create a brand new account with a new email is if you don't have access to that email anymore. Maybe you did like a BC email, or maybe you did like a high school email and you don't have access to that email anymore, then go ahead and just create a brand new account. I promise you, as long as you have an ID to match you up, they'll understand who you are. Like if you're applying to a CSUB program and you're a CSUB graduate, your CSUB ID will be requested and they'll just connect one and one together. So then you create an account. Like I said, I would suggest to use a non-EDU email. So don't use your CSUB email. Use something else, your Yahoo, your iCloud, something else that you will have even after you graduate from CSUB or after you are no longer in school. So once you log in, it's going to ask you some information. This extended profile is very important. This is where the system will understand what is the type of program you're interested in, and also it'll know that you're applying for a graduate program, which again includes master's, teaching credential, certificate, and doctoral. If for any reason you hit first bachelor's here, it's like you're gonna start all over again. So please don't get frustrated if something like that happens. So make sure you choose that second bachelor's degree and beyond. The next thing I also see a lot of issues with is right here. If you are looking to apply to a teaching or a service credentials program and you clicked on graduate, when you go to search for CSUB teaching credentials, you're not going to see it. All you're going to see are all the master's programs that we offer at CSUB or all the other CSUs. Now, if you're still not sure what you want to do, if you're like, I don't know, I want to do a master's, or maybe I want to do a teaching credential, or maybe I want to do a certificate, maybe I'm interested in a second bachelor's, it's fine. You can go ahead and click on all four. And when you type in something you're interested in, like let's say teaching, every single teaching option that is available will populate for all 23 universities. So just so it doesn't get so confusing, there's too many options, you can always just click on one, and the extended profile is something that you can always go back to and change. The other thing you want to make sure that you're looking at, and again, 99% of the time when there's a problem with the application, it's right here. So this can be kind of confusing. So you're a CSUB student, you're graduating from CSUB, you want to apply to our CSUB credentials program or a master's program. It kind of reads like, wait, it's asking me, am I returning to the CSUB campus and going to complete the same major? Well, of course, I have my major is in English and I want to complete my master's in English. So what I see happening here is that you'll say yes, but that's incorrect. What this is actually asking is, are you coming back to CSUB or to the CSU campus to complete the same degree that you didn't complete or finish off? So in order to make sure that you can see the options available, such as the teaching credential programs, the master's programs, the doctoral programs, the certificate programs, you want to make sure you say no. You're not returning to complete the same major. You are returning, but to complete a completely different degree, which means it's a new application. The only time you're going to say yes is if you've already been accepted to the master's program. You got accepted into the English of Masters, 2 years ago, but unfortunately, because of COVID, blah, 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 you didn't continue the program. And now you're ready to go back well, now at that point, yes, reapplying to a program you have been accepted to before. U.S. military status, that's kind of important on here, but it's usually used for statistical reasons. It's not going to affect if you get accepted or not accepted into the program. This is just more of your general preference to let the CSUs know that you're in the military, okay? And then for the international applicant here, this information, the reason why they ask it is in order for you to get the CSU California resident tuition, you have to be a California resident. So sometimes this question has to do with just making sure we know what type of tuition you're going to be charged if and when you do get accepted into this program, this post-bac program. You're going to see these 4 boxes, and these 4 boxes are called the application quadrants. In order for you to be able to actually submit your application, all 4 of these quadrants have to be green. If they're not green, you're going to have an error. And I'll go ahead and I'll go into a live CalState application so you can see kind of all the different questions and where I've seen most people get stuck on. But the 4 quadrants need to be green in order for you to submit your application. So some of the questions that they're going to be asking you are, there's a release statement basically saying, are you okay with us releasing all the information that you're going to be providing in these further details? And all of this information here is just for the CSUs for statistical purposes, just for statistical purposes. Whatever you put right here will not affect your chances of getting accepted or denied into the program you're interested in applying to. Please, 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 I'm going to restate that. Nobody is going to look at your citizenship, residency, your financial information and say, no, I don't want this person in my program. That's not at all what this is going to be used for. The personal information is strictly used for the CSUs to have statistical information about the type of student body that we have, and to narrow it down, the type of graduate students or teacher credential students that we have in our 23, university state system. So it's for very statistical reasons. Supporting information, I put on here not needed. So usually this part right here, the experiences, it's going to ask you for your work history. By the time you're going to be applying to a graduate program, you probably already have 2 to 3 different types of work experience. The graduate director who is going to be reviewing your application, and I know this, they're not going to look at this portion of your experiences. If the application requires a resume, they're going to ask you to submit your resume. So if you filled out this experiences and then you also submit your resume, you just wasted like 20 minutes of your time when you could have just said, I'm not going to supply this. Because the mere fact is you're going to have to send it in or upload it anyways with the application for that program. So keep that in mind. Please don't waste your time filling that section out. And then on the document section, that's usually if you are currently in the military or veteran of the military, they're going to require something that we call the DD-214. If you have no idea what that means, don't worry about it. But that's usually for additional documents that have to do with military personnel. This is where you're going to say what program you're interested in applying to. So I typed in counseling. Counseling is one of the more popular programs I've seen a lot of our students applying for, and that includes counseling psychology, educational counseling, anything that has to do with counseling, someone maybe with a background in psychology, liberal arts, criminal justice, those type of backgrounds usually like to go into the counseling programs. And the reason why I have this one up here is, first of all, today is March 22nd, right? School counseling in East Bay, the deadline already passed. So if I was to go into the live application, school counseling in CalState East Bay it's not even going to show up. So that's, again, another issue I've seen some some applicants really frustrated with. They'll say like, well, I'm trying to apply to the Bakersfield, educational counseling program, and I just can't find it. I can't find it. 99.9% of the reason why you can't find it is that the deadline for that application already passed. Unfortunately, if you're still interested in the counseling program, you're either going to have to look at another school or CSU that still has an active application, or you're going to have to wait for the following year. So for fall 2024 to apply to our school counseling program. And these deadlines do vary. For fall 2023, the application will open October of the year prior. And usually the deadlines start popping up between January and all the way into June. So if you are interested in applying to a fall 2023 program, there might be a chance that the program you're interested in might already be closed. So you're going to have to wait for next year. But again, there might be further opportunities with some of the other CSUs. And then here's another one. So as you can see, the dates are a little bit different. And this one I put psychology. Yeah, there's psychology again. So the kinesiology, sports psychology, and Fresno State, that deadline is June 1st. And you would be starting in fall. Kinesiology, the same exact program at CSU Long Beach, it's already passed. So if you were looking for it, it wouldn't be there. And the one in San Bernardino also already passed. I also like looking at this section on the ad programs, because if it's an online program, it will say on here online. All right, so these little plus signs right there, right? These are really cool because let's say you've never heard of engineering and computational mathematics with Claremont Graduate School PhD. And that's like, what is that? That sounds so cool. If you click on the little plus sign right there, it's going to be added to your application and you'll be able to actually see all the different requirements of the program. You'll have a website that will send you directly to the school and kind of talk a little bit more about like what that program's about, who the director is, what the courses are. So it gives you a little bit more details. So this is a really easy way to see all the different types of graduate programs that are out there at all 23 CSUs. And again, if it happens to say online and you just click on there, that could be a possible option for you if you can't find the right program here at CSUB. And the minute that you click on that little plus sign and it's on your application as a pending possible program for you, then what can happen is that that school is going to be trying to recruit you. They're going to say like, hey, we have this information session, come join us and find out more about our program. Just the mere fact that you clicked on the little plus sign, it already kind of adds you to a list at that CSU saying that you're interested in this program. And they're going to be kind of talking to you just through email, letting you know what's coming up next. One of the things I've seen before is I'll get an email saying, hey, the deadline's this Friday. Please make sure you've submitted your application. So let's say you were interested in applying to computer science, but it's like life just happened and you just based it on finishing your application. It's really great that some of the schools will like send you an email and just say like, hey, don't forget to, submit your application. It's always a good idea to click on as many of those little plus signs of the programs you might be interested in applying to, because you'll get emails about information sessions, and you'll get emails about possible deadlines approaching. Here's another one of those emails. And again, when you're receiving these types of emails, there's always like a contact information. So if for any reason you're like, oh, I have a 2.5, they say that they require a 3.0, like use that email and just say like, hey, I have a question. I do have a 2.5 GPA, but I have like 10 years of experience working in equity and social justice. I already have my credentials. Just kind of have a question, is that possible? Would it be possible for me to get accepted into this program? And it's up to them to respond to you. So that's my little real quick PowerPoint. Now we go live. In regards to the application fee, so application fees to any graduate program, teaching credentials, certificate, doctoral degrees will vary from free. No, it can vary from $50 to $200 or $250. It just depends what school you're applying to. With the CSUs, we do not have a waiver at all. None. Sorry, no free application for any of our CSU graduate programs or post-bac programs. If you're interested in the teaching credential program, you're gonna have to apply and pay $70. Now, I've seen waivers at other universities, again, not the CSUs, so maybe the UCs might have a waiver. USC might have a waiver. The best thing to do is ask that particular director or coordinator of the program or their admissions department and just say like, hey, do you guys have a waiver, you know, a graduate application waiver for me? There has to be a reason why you need that waiver. If you were interested in applying to 5 different CSUs, right? So you're going to apply to CSUB, CSU San Bernardino, CSU Long Beach, San Francisco State University, and you're also applying to Cal Poly Humboldt. You're going to be paying $70 for every single one of those applications. Yes. So my suggestion to you is if your application is not meeting every single requirement, so if they're requiring a 3.0 GPA and they're requiring 5 prerequisites that you haven't taken, and they're requiring, you know, all these things, and you're just like, I really want to get into that program, but I don't meet any of those requirements, please contact that director or that program and specifically ask them those questions. Like, do I have to have a 3.0? Do I have to have these prereqs? And if they're like, yep, sorry, we don't accept anyone with 3.0 or below, don't even waste your time applying. Don't apply, save those $70 and put them into a different university that actually is going to respond to you and say like, you know what? Yeah, of course, we've definitely have had students accepted into our program with a 2.5 GPA. But again, that's going to be a program specific answer. I can't answer that for you. The admissions department can't answer that for you. You have to talk directly to the program director, program coordinator to make sure that you're applying with what you have and the possibility of getting accepted. And here are the quadrants. So again, if for any reason you need to fix your extended profile, it's up here on the top. And right now, of course, make sure it's on the second bachelor's. Right now I have the teaching and service credentials only. I'm going to also click on graduate because I want to make sure when I'm going through these examples, I can show you our graduate programs are being offered currently right now, and the teaching and service credentials are being offered at this moment. I put it here no because I want to start a new degree at whatever one of the schools I might be applying to. I'm not returning to complete that graduate degree or that credential. I am actually in the National Guard. So yes, I have the yes, I am serving. I'm not an international student. And I've lived in California for at least more than 2 years. So I'm going to click save, and that's going to help generate the correct programs when I go to add a program. So here on add a program, let me see, I might need to make this bigger, I'm not sure, but just keep in mind the deadlines of all the different programs, right? And then as you can see, I have little like check marks, right? I have a check mark here, I can remove that, I can delete that, okay. I guess you can only delete, you always have to have at least one check mark. If you happen to check mark like 10, you can delete 9, but you always have to have 1 there. So as you can see right here, it's different. It's going to differentiate between the graduate programs that are being offered and the credential programs that are being offered here in Bakersfield. And then as you continue to scroll, then there's the education, the extended education offerings. A lot of times your extended education programs are going to be online versus campus. Then we go to Cal Poly credentials, Cal Poly graduate. I'm not going to go through all of them, I promise. And then I don't think Cal Poly has, yeah, Cal Poly does not have an extended. Humboldt doesn't. It goes. And as you can see, it's showing me everything, right? Here we go. Cal Poly Pomona does have an extension. So Cal Poly Pomona, these are all the programs that they're offering. So these are going to be mostly master's programs. As you can see, it says right here, right? Master's. And they'll let you know that it's online. This one's kind of cool. I've never even heard of this one. So I'm just going to click the little plus sign on there. I'm also going to go up here and search. If you were interested in sociology, your options are going to be very limited. We have Cal Poly Humboldt, which is a main campus program. There is CSU Dominguez Hills, Northridge, and look at that. San Marcos does have a sociology program and it's online. So if you weren't willing to leave Kern County, this could be the perfect option for you for, never mind, because that's a BA. We don't want a BA. So most likely what this means is that you can get a second bachelor's in sociology online. So that's the second bachelor's option. So MSW, okay. So if you were interested in sociology, you would have to leave Kern County. All right, let's go with MSW. And MSW is social work. So a master's in social work. Our masters of social work, I was about to say this, our masters of social work here at CSUB, the deadline always tends to be around mid-December and the beginning of January. So the application opens October 1st and you have like 2 months to submit your application. And the reason for that is that they receive over 200 applications and can only accept up to 50 students. That is one of our programs that I would say, if you really want to go into social work or an MS in social work, apply to at least 2 other programs, okay? The only program right now for you for fall 2023 would be the Masters of Social Work with the Advanced Generalist Practice in CalState San Marcos. You're going to try consumer behavior. That's very specific. So what I found with that one for you is, and you're going to have to leave the Kern County, okay? Northridge has a family and consumer science with apparel design and merchandising. So I'm going to click the little plus sign there. And then there's a San Francisco State one. As you can see, if you were interested in applying to these programs, you have a couple days for the one in San Francisco and about a month, May 1st, for the other ones. Now that I've added some programs, I'm going to go back to the My Application, right? So one thing I want you to make sure you do first, just to avoid frustration, please complete all the quadrants. Just get them out of the way. Make sure that you are greened out. So really quickly, I'm just going to start off here. Yeah, I agree that you're basically going to provide any information I put on here and share it with other people, just without releasing my information. So I'm going to say, yeah, okay, sure. Then it has my name, my social, ask like some really personal questions, right? You just kind of keep going. Where is it that I'm missing? Okay, citizenship, residency, really? Why hasn't that been greened out? Okay, that's greened out. As you can see, like the type of questions that they ask, right? And I believe you can decline to state. So if you don't want to give the state of California, the CSUs, any of the information about yourself, you can just say like decline. It is not going to affect at all your application, okay? Please take that into consideration. The only thing that's going to affect your application is what you submit in the program application portion of it. So again, it's kind of asking me some questions about how much money. So on that financial aspect one, it's going to kind of ask you like, you know, how much money do your parents make? How much money do you make? It has nothing to do with FAFSA, nothing at all. So if you want to put like 000, go ahead. If you want to put, oh, my family makes 500,000, manifest it. We are going to start making 500,000. That is completely up to you. So just like I said, that information is just for statistical purposes. Whatever you put in there, it's just for the state, for the CSUs to say, you know, we have 100,000 graduate students that make between 65,000 to 120,000, stuff like that. So I greened out my personal information. Then I'm going to go over to the supporting information. This is the one that I mentioned, has to do with your work experience. If you want to spend the time, put it on here, what kind of employment you did, what's the organization, like have fun with that. But this can be really frustrating when you find out that you have to submit an application, a resume anyways. So I would suggest just put on here, I am not adding experiences. Boom, greened out. Documents, again, because I am in the military, I could add my military DD 214, but I'm not going to. I can always send that in afterwards. So I'm just going to say, no, I'm not adding it. Guess what? I am now greened out there. Any more questions? Okay. Academic history. This one is very, very, very important. I know I mentioned to you, don't worry about these two, like what you put on there, right? But the academic history portion, this is important for several reasons. As a graduate applicant, again, teaching credential, certificate, master's, doctoral, I would say any institution that you apply to, any, Stanford, USC, DeVry University, University of Phoenix, CSUs, any institution that you apply to for a post-bac or graduate application, they are going to require all your transcripts from every institution you've ever attended after high school. I'm going to repeat that. Every institution that you have attended. So even if you went to like a community college and you only took one class and you didn't even complete it, like you withdrew, they're going to need that. And if you don't supply it, they're going to let you know that they found out that you did go, you know, one semester to this one college and you didn't submit that transcript. Your application is going to be on hold until you actually submit every single one of your transcripts. That is one reason why I've seen a lot of applicants get their application denied, because they did not submit every single transcript that was required of them so that their application can then move forward to the next step, which is then going to the graduate director. Okay, so I'm going to repeat this portion here again. Please, 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 every single college you have ever attended, please make sure that you're going to add it on here, as in add the college. And you want to just kind of fill out the information on it. And you're also going to want to make sure that you put in the GPA, that it's that from your transcript, right? And if you have any questions about how to make this work, you can always email me. But just looking at your transcript all the way at the bottom, your overall GPA, just type in those numbers. If it's wrong, it's okay. Because as long as the admissions department receives all your all your transcripts, they're just going to reevaluate what your actual GPA is and make any corrections as needed. Again, the director of a program usually does not look at this GPA information. It's only the admissions department that will be looking at your transcripts and your GPA so that they calculate it and then pass that information on to the director and letting them know what your GPA is. Standardized test. I have opted not to add any standardized tests. And this is usually if you're going to add like your SATs, your ACTs, anything of that sort. If you are required to submit a standardized test, you're going to have to submit it, we're only going to receive it from the actual institution sending it to us. So even if you upload a copy of your standardized test, thanks, but we're not going to accept it unless we receive the official one coming from the organization that you took that test from. So for our teaching credentials applicants, your CBEST, you can upload it. That's great, thank you, but it's going to still be considered an unofficial CBEST score. You're going to want to make sure that when, that you go to the CBEST website and you say, like, hey, please send my scores to CSUB. And then those would be considered official. My GPA should be good. Save and exit. Why isn't it greening out for me? There we go. Okay. That's all I had to do, I guess. Just go back in there, hit save. Remember what I said? You want to make sure all of these are greened out. All right, here's my favorite part. It already says I can submit an application. Program materials is my favorite portion. So I'm going to go to the Family and Consumer Sciences. Somebody was interested in this. A Family and Consumer Sciences from San Francisco State Graduate School. Deadline is April 1st. You're really interested in this program, get started on your application, okay? Usually the home section is going to give you kind of an idea about the program. They're going to tell you what the application requirements are and who to contact, etc. So for this particular master's program, you need a resume that you need to submit, English language score report. So this is if you're an international student, a personal statement, a GRE writing component test report. And this is again, if applicable, then we have to see below. And then they also want your unofficial transcripts from all post-secondary institutions attended. So it says here that students can either do the GRE, and you need to receive at least a 4.0 on the writing portion of the GRE, or for students in, I guess, for San Francisco State undergrad students, you can elect to do the writing course instead of the GRE. Those are your two options. That's different for me. That's why it took me a while to like kind of understand. So this is the first time I've ever seen that kind of exception. Usually I just see no GRE required, or if you have like a 3.5 GPA, the GRE is waived, right? So every single school and program is going to have their specific requirements. And that's why I prefer going through the CalState Apply section of it, because it does clearly state what they want. They're going to ask you some questions. You're going to have to make sure you fill everything out, right? I'm just going to pretend I'm doing blah, 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 blah. Your official transcripts. You have to put your initials here saying that you are going to submit your official transcripts to the university. One other thing I've seen that can cause problems in the CalState Apply is this little bar here. Sometimes you don't see it, and guess what? You don't activate the save and continue, and it can be kind of frustrating. So make sure you're somehow scrolling up and down. Documents, here's where you're going to upload your resume. Do you remember how I said don't waste your time on the experience section? Because look, they're going to want your resume. Then they want you to upload all your unofficial transcripts, your personal statement. This is if for any reason you're an international student. They want to see your GRE. And this one, I guess they're fine with you submitting just the test score, and then more unofficial transcripts, because remember, some people have attended more than one post-secondary school. So it's there. Once you upload all of these things, then this will get also like green, like have a little like check mark. And then for the recommendations, they're requiring 2 letters of recommendation from professors or people that you might know. And you just add their information here. This is the easiest part. Put in their name, last name, email, due date, personal message. Usually here would be like, hey, professor, we talked about you saying you're going to write me a letter of recommendation. Please make sure that you complete this recommendation letter by, I don't know, March 25th. You want to make sure they're submitting that recommendation letter way before your deadline. And then once you hit save, you'll be able to fill out the next one. And now that once it's check marked everywhere, that application will be ready to submit. And then this is like where you see how you can submit all these applications, and it even tells you the total fees. So if you're interested in 4 different schools and you will be submitting to 4 different schools, you're paying $280. I'm going to jump over to the multi-subject credential one, because this one, this one's this is one of those tricky applications. So why do I say tricky application? because it only has one question. It basically says, hey, make sure that you send us your official transcripts. It's this part that's tricky. It's a two-step process. They want you to submit this application, but then they also have a secondary application that you're going to have to submit, and including all these other different requirements. And then if you have any questions right here, this is the person to contact. And that you acknowledge that this is a two-step process. Yes, you acknowledge. And the deadline for sending the your transcripts. If for any reason, all you do is just submit your CalState Apply to the multi-subject credential program and you never submit that second application, you just lost out on $70 because you stated that you understand it's a two-step process. So if I was ready to submit this one, oh, it won't let me. It's just letting me know I have to change something up here. Go back to the program materials. So the rehab, again, program coordinator, right? So that person who's like, oh, my GPA is not that great, contact this person right here. If you're interested in a couple more details about the program, you can click on the link there and I'll take you directly to the counseling department program. That kind of gives you a little bit more information about the admissions requirements, program overview. Looking at the program overview, some things I'd like to look at are your, it's not on here, but like, what are the classes you're going to be taking? Clinical opportunities, outcomes, here we go, courses. So let's say, again, you really wanted to do the social work, right? But then now you're looking at these classes over here and you're like, hey, these are almost like social work. Okay, this might be like an alternative option. So this program, they have intro to rehabilitation, disability across the lifespan, counseling theories, addiction, counseling skills, psychiatric rehabilitation. These types of courses look really interesting. This could be the program for you, right? So once you kind of looked at that, go back to the application. Oops, I'm going to go back. Go to my program materials, rehab. Okay, so I'm like, this program is definitely the one I want to do. So now let's look at what are all the requirements. So they want you to submit your official transcript. Okay, they want so I save. Yep, got it. Documents. They want me to submit, it's a second application. So this one is also a two-part application. And once I click on here, it's going to be the second application. So I have to submit this one for $70, and then I have to submit that secondary one with the link there that has information about my educational background, employment background. Again, there's that resume experience, 3 letters or 3 references, a personal statement, and it tells me exactly what they want me to write about in my personal statement. Once I have completed that third party or that second application, I will then upload it right here with my personal statement, unofficial transcripts, and then any additional kind of supplemental information. I put in my people, my 3 people I want to talk about how amazing I am and that I would be perfect for this program. And then basically I'm ready to submit that application. So I went straight to that little link. And so this is that second application that they want you to go ahead and fill out. Fellowships and grants, something to talk about with the program manager. Yes, definitely. It is something you can talk to them. So I'm going to go to our CSUB fellowships and grants that we have available. GSC. So the Graduate Student Center, the website that we have has tons of information for prospective students, current students. I have information here regarding other CSUs, right? So a whole bunch of stuff about finding the right program for you, the UCs, all sorts of really cool stuff. And then I also have the CSUB funding opportunities. So these funding opportunities are just for CSUB post-bac students, certificate, teacher credentials, master's, doctoral program, right? If you were to click on there, one of the opportunities that we have is the Graduate Equity Fellowship. So this fellowship is open to any full-time graduate student, and full-time at the master's level is as long as you have 6 units or more, you're considered a full-time student, and it can range between $500 to $2,000. Now, this is just like a general fellowship, but if a particular program had their own fellowship, I'm going to go to Cal Poly Slow and just help someone get accepted into their program there. So the School of Education has their own scholarships for graduate students who have been accepted or are currently in post-bac or currently in programs in the School of Education. And so there's like all these different types of scholarships and fellowships available just for the School of Education. Cal Poly Slow also has scholarships for any student that is attending. Like one of the ones I saw there was their colors are green and yellow. Yeah, it was like a green and yellow grant. And the application just required that you put in what's like your school spirit. And I told my this graduate student that will be attending Cal Poly for fall, I was like, hey, just submit anything. Just say, Mustangs are awesome. This is my favorite color. Like whatever, just submit the application, right? But one thing I have to say about fellowships, grants, and scholarships at the graduate level, most people don't know that there are so many opportunities, so they don't even apply. And the few people that do know about them, they can apply to 10, 20, 30 scholarships, grants, fellowships, anything, right? Anything that's like they're willing to give you money as long as you can submit kind of proof of need or you have a personal statement or some letters of recommendation. You'll probably get 5 out of the 10, probably, because they're just really want to give you money, but there's not enough students that are applying for these scholarships and fellowships. On the grant, it's a little bit different with the grants because the grants are only based off of financial need. And the only way you're able to prove your financial need is if you file for your FAFSA as a graduate student. So that's one thing I would highly suggest is make sure that you submit your FAFSA, financial aid, the one that kind of does the student loans, right? Submit your financial aid. And if for any reason you aren't eligible for any grants through the FAFSA, apply for scholarships and fellowships. And again, looking at the different schools, looking at the different programs, talking to the directors and finding out what they have, talking to someone in financial aid. So grants can be first come, first serve based on eligibility. That is correct. Another thing that I have seen happening before, don't tell anyone I told you this. So I'm going to go to the financial aid website. Census date, right? Census date is also the same thing at the graduate level. So let's say we accept at CSUB, we accept 100 graduate students. Only 20 actually enroll. By census date, we will know if there's any extra money left by all those graduate students who we did a little package for, but they never actually enrolled and started their program. Now all of that funding is available for the next person who maybe didn't get some money, right? I've had the opportunity to let some students who were very frustrated with their funding, I've had them call financial aid, like our financial aid department on census date. Is it on or the day after? Anyways, call them on census date and just say like, hey, just calling to see if there's any extra funding when it comes to grants, and you'll be surprised. You will be surprised. Another thing too, keep in mind that your FAFSA or your financial aid is based on like 2022, right? So if for any reason you have had a loss of income, so maybe starting your graduate you got accepted into the graduate program, you're going to start in the fall, and then you realize that it's going to be impossible for you to work full time. So then you go part-time so that you can start your program. You can call the financial aid office and you can let them know like, hey, as of June 2023, my my income has completely, gone down by 20,000, and they'll repackage your financial aid and see if you're eligible for more grants. So the grants are the ones that are tied to financial aid. Scholarships and fellowships, the only way you're going to be able to get them is you actually apply for them. And application usually includes a personal statement, some letters of recommendation. If you haven't already done this, I just really hope that you know that CSUB really wants to give you money. Sounds funny when I say that. So this Roadrunner Scholarship Universe, if you haven't done this, please do it, even at the graduate level, please. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to do one application. You're going to fill out one application, and that one application is going to see if you're eligible for other scholarships. The way it works, and I did my one application, and then 3 months later, I get an email from financial aid, and they're like, congratulations, you are a recipient of this $500 scholarship that you got approved for, through the Roadrunner Scholarship Universe. And I was like, what? Just out of nowhere, I got $500. Another time I had an email come my way and said hey, it looks like you're eligible for this scholarship. Make sure you submit a personal statement and 2 letters of recommendation. And then 3 weeks later, I was like, congratulations, you got this scholarship. And it was like $1,200. I'm like, sweet. So this Roadrunner Scholarship Universe it's effective. And at the graduate level, I'm telling you, if you apply for scholarships and fellowships, you're most likely going to get at least 2 if you apply to more than 5. The external scholarship is kind of cool too. When I say kind of, please take into consideration the disclaimer. These are not endorsed by CSUB. They're not part of the CSUB, but you can usually find some scholarships there. And again, applying to them, just be careful what type of information they want from you, right? They're asking you for social security number. I don't know, but just a personal statement, letters of recommendation, those general things, make sure you do that. If you're planning to start a program, so you applied for fall 2023, right? The MSW program, I'm just going to throw that one out there. So you applied for the Masters of Social Work. You just found out you got accepted. Start applying for scholarships right now, because most of the scholarship applications will say, please submit your letter of acceptance. And that's one way for them to see that you did get accepted into a program and you're already just starting the scholarship process to get ready to fund your school, right? To fund your program. You do not need to be enrolled currently in the program, but you do need to be accepted and will be starting a program in the future.